I am going to call to order the council meeting for the city of Fulton, October 23rd at 5:30 p.m. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Wendy?
Here.
Alderperson King?
Here.
Banker? Mask?
Here.
Van Campen?
Here.
Wilkin? Boonstra?
Here.
Brondike? Berggraf?
Here. Very good. And at this time, we all stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We go on to this appointment. I'm striking it because we cannot have 4 in there. So we'll go on to recognition of volunteers. We have none. Communication from visitors. I see lots of people out there. We have none. Presentations, none. Number 8, the consent agenda. All items in the consent agenda will be enacted by a single motion and roll call vote. May I have that motion, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
A second. And then, are there any questions or corrections? Hearing none, may I have roll call, please?
Alderperson Brondike? Berggraf?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Banker? Mask?
Yes.
Van Campen?
Yes.
Boonstra?
Yes.
Wilkin?
Okay, we go on to business. Motion to approve that we do not have a city council meeting on December 25th, which it's scheduled for.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Alderperson Banker? Berggraf?
Yes.
Brondike? Wilkin? Van Campen?
Yes.
Mask?
Yes.
Boonstra?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Okay, we go on. Motion to approve Tammy Garibay as business manager. She may not be called business. What is she?
City manager.
Yeah, she cannot be called city manager. She has to be called business manager to take over the responsibilities of the city administrator's position starting October 4th, 2023 through January 1st, 2025. Starting January 1, 2024, she will work 3 days in the office and 1 day from home. Her position will stay union at her request with no interaction for discipline with employees at all. Tammy has approved this motion. I sent it to her after her surgery.
Motion to approve.
Okay. And a support?
I'll support.
All right. And roll call,
Want to
please.
get questions?
Oh, yes.
How many hours a day is that?
She says she's going to do 40 hours a week.
Okay.
And I think that's per union, Terry, too.
Now, what is she going to be called? The business manager or the city administrator?
No, she's going to be called, as her request, she wants to be called the business manager.
Isn't that her title now?
Yep. And that's what she wants to keep it as.
She don't want to be city administrator, huh?
Nope. She was pretty emphatic about that. But
well, she's doing all those responsibilities, so I don't know how technically that works if she's still called the business manager, but she's assuming additional responsibilities. Is that, I mean, it might...
Legal?
Well, legal or, I mean, to me,
For the union part of it, she doesn't
the
want...
old adage in my business world is if you walk like a duck and talk like a duck, you call it a duck. So if she's doing all those responsibilities and
Which she
obviously
hasn't, okay.
then maybe, why don't we go ahead and approve as this is because you read this to her, and then we can
Yes.
discuss later, would she be okay with a different going forward?
Okay.
Okay?
Let's do that.
Because I really think if she's assuming other responsibilities, we might want her have. Okay. So, roll call.
Did we have did you
Did
get
we
the
do the roll
first
call?
and the second? Okay, then we do need roll call.
Alderperson King,
Yes.
Baker, Mass,
Yes.
Burgraff,
Yes.
Van Campen. Yes. Wilkin, Boonstra,
Yes.
Brightnight.
Okay, very good, it passed, and we will talk with her later about that. She's doing fine from her surgery.
Is she good? Good to hear that.
Now we go on to the committee of the whole discussion per Alderman request. The amendments to the liquor licenses since 2019 provided by Tammy Garabay. That was one of the last things she did, are in your packet. So those are complete and up to date. And they're just for you to read. And then we go on to discuss Christmas bonuses for full-time and part-time employees, and if a motion is needed, it will have to be on next meeting's agenda.
Well, I suggest we continue with the pattern that we've done in the past. That we continue to give those.
Well, we upped it last year. And
We just upped it last year.
Yeah.
But I think
And I say
should
we
continue.
keep it with that.
Okay.
Yep.
But we have new council members that want to know. Tori, do you know the amount? Is it,
I think it's 400 and 200, isn't it?
400 for full-time.
Full-time and 200 for part-time.
part-time. It was 300 and 150.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Thank you.
Okay. And I will have that on as a motion next time.
Okay.
Chief Nick and myself met with a website designer to upgrade our website to make it more user-friendly. It was a good meeting. He's going to come back to us with cost
That
and
was my
things.
first question.
Yep, cost and everything, and it's going to depend on how much we want to change, but right now we know it's not very user-friendly. And he recognized that right away. We're using, and Tori will probably be able to help me with that, a very old program, and it's very difficult to change. It's very difficult to get in there and do anything. So we're going to have to do something. It just depends on how much you want to do and how much you want to have in there. So we're going to keep that discussion open, and we will bring any information that we find out to you guys.
Total still be discussion.
But it was a very, absolutely,
Wendy,
for a
is
while.
that the new computer system?
No,
That's not
Nope.
that. Okay.
no, this is our website that people
Just
go to
just
when
the
they.
website.
Yeah. I also talked to the IML to have all future festivals and functions, as long as they are in city property, will be covered by our insurance. No other insurance is needed or required. I've checked, we've done this a couple times, but this is absolutely the way we need to go. We pay the IML $110,000 a year for their services, their educational services, their books, the updates from the state, and for their risk management program, which is the insurance. She said you should have always just called us and put whatever's on there. And to take an example, for Fall Festival, we had a private citizen, Gene Fields, let us use his parking lot. And so the IML wrote it up as being insured from the certain day, hour, and they even provided a rider for Gene so that he was not responsible for anything that happened on his property. So going forward, if we happen to use some other person's private property, all you have to do is request that. They write a rider. She had it to me that day, and she said, you spend big bucks for this. She said, all it takes is a phone call. They will cover Dutch days.
Well, we're grateful because we've always paid a lot of money. Plus, it was time consuming, and I'd have to go out with our scheduled events once we had it in place and go through item and item. And so when we had bounce houses, for example, that would always be an extra rider. If we had anything with animals, that was always not because they were dangerous, but because they carried disease. So everything we did like that was more money every year.
And
It's good news for
a
us.
positive for that is when you have multiple insurances providing service for one area, that tends to make it problematic because they fight about it. You know, you have one insurance, they pay, they do, and so
We had an
it's
incident
very.
with that. Where a
We
lady-
used, yeah. So,
When
that,
we
yes,
okay, now if we have beer,
that's a
garbage and
separate
stuff-
insurance, and
Then-
the fund crew takes that out always.
Okay, that doesn't fall under
That
this.
doesn't fall under
Okay,
that
I
at
was
all.
just wondering if
So
that
anything
included
without
under
their
their,
licenses.
Yeah,
hundred-
they
Their
have,
licenses.
they have to provide their own license, and the fund crew does that every
Okay.
single time.
And their
Yep.
license requirements require them to have dram shop insurance.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know if that included that when you
No,
said
this is just liability
Okay,
insurance. Somebody
all right.
falls down, someone gets hurt, whatever it is, but, no,
Thank you.
no alcohol insurance is
Okay.
on there.
All right, I didn't know.
And then, we go, Chief Nepling, if you'd like to report on the MTA, I see you put the numbers in the packet. Do you have anything to update us?
If you take that out, so they're picking up 66 and dropping off 66, so an average of 16.5 ridership each week. 8 weeks into it, those numbers could go up between now and then with the weather changing, maybe less people walking, I don't know. At this point, we're about halfway through, and just wanted to make sure that you guys have the most up-to-date numbers presented to you.
How does the gentleman that spoke with us here, I've forgotten his name, the manager?
Dennis?
Dennis? How does he perceive these numbers? Does he think this is a good number? Is he happy or disappointed?
Average, you would say, for
Because
me.
they're gonna change their bus route whether we stay or not, right?
Yeah, the route, if whether we stay on or not, that route remains the same, they just don't come across the bridge.
Okay, I thought I understood him to say that. But I think Whiteside County does do, you and I talked about that, Sue? Whiteside County does provide transportation
Yeah.
services over here as well. So you either have to be senior or handicapped
To get those services.
to get those services, yeah.
But if you're neither of those, then you get none of those
Right,
services.
right.
Correct.
Okay, we go on to committee reports. We have nothing for finance. I know that you met, but we will talk about that when you have your minutes in there. Personnel, we did not meet. Economic development, they did, but don't have minutes in here. Parks and Rec, the same. Public safety on page 22. Any questions?
So I'm gonna also mention that we met this morning, and Nick got the IPMC, everybody got a copy of it. The International Property Maintenance Code, that is what we're looking at adopting. A lot of this will cover the rental inspections, and it's pretty in-depth as to what that code enforcement officer can do. It states in there that they can disconnect utilities, they can get them to clean the trash up, ventilation's in there as well, fire safety. So everybody can take a look. Hopefully in the coming months we will have our current codes. What do you call it, where you send them
Codification.
Yep.
codified and put into a binder, everything that's updated, and then we'll have to cross it back to this here as well, or just adopt this in with those.
Nick's worked on that all
Thank you.
last
Thank
2
you.
days as far as
Thank you, Terry.
the codification.
Good job.
He's totally caught up, except for one. We have a missing ordinance that we're going to be looking for, but he's done that, made copies of them all, and they're ready to be sent to the codification company that we need. So his hard work has paid off, yes.
And just to clarify, so this is a lot to read. The discussion me and Terry had this morning was go over it, take a chance to read it. If you have questions about something, come see me. Our hope is by the first meeting in December, when we have to pass the tax levy, because that has to be done the first meeting in December, is that I have the facts together enough to bring it to the council for you guys to make a decision whether or not you do want to move forward with a code enforcement officer from a full-time or a part-time perspective, what the costs associated with that are, because I'll be honest, if we're not going to hire that position, I don't want to pass that, because that's just going to be an additional responsibility back on the police department to enforce all of these rules. So if we're not, that it's a two-part. This is what that code enforcement officer's responsibilities would fall back onto. I'll get the rest of the numbers put together. You guys will have about a month to read through this one, and then we can make a decision collaboratively before we start that budgetary process, if that's something you want to look at. So,
Could you, Nick or Wendy, give us a cost of what it would cost to have a code officer?
that's exactly what I just said. I would have that total cost
Okay.
package put together by the first meeting in December, which gives you a month to review this, to make a decision before we move into the January budgetary process.
Okay.
And there's
I got
all
you.
different ways to that cost, if we decide it's just a part-time cost, or if it's a full-time, or what it, you know, so there's lots of,
Yeah, I thought it was the cost of putting this all together.
This, we paid $80 for a hard copy book, and then the privilege. I tried to skim it offline, copy and paste. You had to pay for it. It wouldn't even let you
You're
copy
an
it.
officer, you're not supposed to say that.
Well, you know, you go online, you copy and paste, and you print it out. Well, it won't even let you copy off the website, so you had to pay the $80 to get it. But the only way to get that information was to move forward with that. So
what are your initial thoughts about a code officer?
I love the idea.
There's so
It's-
much in here that opens up, you know, they've got a lot of power behind them, and they can definitely clean things up.
I went up and I just talked with the mayor of Savannah, and he had, only because we have interests in we're both riverfront, and he and I talked at an economic development meeting, but they hired a code officer, very part-time, and this person knocks on the door, your grass is too long. That truck has been sitting in your yard for this long. Since April she was hired, up to now, they have removed 53 vehicles. And we can't do any of that, even with landlords or anything, unless you adopt this. And so that's the importance of this. But I agree with Nick, unless you're going to put your money where your mouth is as far as getting that person to do it, then, you know, there's no sense in adopting it. So, but I was super impressed. I was like, "You're kidding." And he says, "No," and you know, she's kind, she goes back, and what that gives you is the power. If you say, "I'm not gonna move it," they give you a ticket. And guess what? Now the city can put a lien on their home. No one wants that to happen. You can't sell your home with a lien on it. So that's why it's working so well, and that's why I think this is an important piece to look at. But anyway, we'll go on to Marina. I know that you met, but no minutes.
See what we just met.
Right, yeah. And tourism, page 23, are there any questions?
I just have one more thing I'd like to add on that. Any questions? I just wanted to add that we did take a look at our hotel motel revenues, because we knew they were better than they were. So I don't know, Tori, if you want a quick, I can give you a copy of this so you have it. I'll just read this real quick. 2021, we took in $27,898.18. 2022, $36,271.61. And then in 2023, and this is just through our first 3 quarters, we're at $40,240.93. So the hotel motel is doing the best we've had for a long time. So that's really good news for us to generate that kind of hotel tax. So we went over all the details of the tourism budget, but I just thought that was the most important to share with you.
What was 2021?
27,898.18. And I'll give you a copy of that, Tori, so if you can see it. So I wanted to share that with you. I thought it was important that you You know that.
That's good news.
Yeah, it is.
And we go, does anybody else have any questions for Barb?
And that hotel motel tax is very particular what the Illinois municipal code. We have to use it for salaries, we have to use it for materials. We can't use it for anything else.
For tours.
For tours, yeah.
Yes, we go on for zoning, we don't have anything here. Now we go on to budget needs for next year. Is there anything that, I thought we added something last meeting, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember it. Are we still okay?
Sidewalks still remain.
Oh, yeah, sidewalk, streets, tourism director, code officer, and signs. Anyway, hearing that, I don't have anything for mayor's report, alderman report. I've received nothing. Chief of police report is in your packet. Do you have any questions for Chief Napling?
Good
Hearing,
report.
hearing none?
I thought it was interesting when I look at your map about different events that are happening in the city. Pretty well spread around the city.
Sometimes they're localized, sometimes they're not.
Yeah, no, I thought that was interesting, Dave. It was, pretty scattered around, yeah. And a variety of reasons why the calls are made as well.
Good.
Do you have trends sometime where it goes that some crimes are, I don't know, car break-ins?
25 car burglaries on Friday.
How many?
Over 25
On one day?
in 2.5 hour period. We're still getting reports. People are still realizing they're missing stuff. So
So,
And
are
why were they?
automobiles left unlocked?
yes,
Yep.
25 cars in one day, did you say?
in about 2 hours,
2 hours?
What, 2 hours?
midnight to
2?
about 2 o'clock. And a half-naked resident of our town foot pursued one and caught one and held him until our officer got there. So
Do you recommend that?
you know what? Yeah, sure. If you're gutsy enough and you want to do that, eat your heart out. So.
Sleepwalker.
He's,
What does that mean?
he's our neighbor, so I was very appreciative.
He was the guy to do it.
It just depends. I mean, some months, I don't know. It's weird. The only other thing I'll add, and it was as of today, it's not in that, but Stevenson County Sheriff's Office is buying 9 of our portable radios to the tune of $38,358. I sent the invoice today.
Sweet.
So.
Nice.
Is there new ones all here now?
No, they're not. He wants these radios. He's paying for them before his budget year runs out November 1st. He wanted the invoice so they can, or maybe December 1st, but they need to facilitate that through the county. So, but,
Any update on our new ones?
yeah, sure. They're with Motorola someplace, So he knows that there's no timeline. He knows that we're waiting, but he
just wants to get them paid for.
He wants to get them paid for in this fiscal year for them, and that way, whenever we get ours, get them programmed. As soon as we're ready to go, then he can take possession of all those. So.
Okay.
One other question is, do we have any homeless people around now, or are they all well?
We've got one living on the island across from the marina right now. He's causing us problems every once in a while.
Is he the same one that's usually there?
He's been there for a while, but I
Didn't
don't.
we have problems with one a year or so ago?
No, this would be a different one.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a new relocation to that area, which eventually the water is going to go up, so I don't know where he's going to go.
And cold.
But I think we're up to 3 or 4 pretty religiously in town right now. That we don't have facilities to assist with them in the winter months, so at that point they'll move on either to Sterling or Clinton or the Quad Cities. So hopefully to find a warm spot. So.
Florida. Any other
Texas.
questions for Chief? Then we go on to the Public Works Director report. There is none. Historical Society report. It's on page 28.
Yep, next program for us is November. It's Ron Kane, and he's doing a program for us on the presidents, U.S. presidents, and how they participated in recreation and relaxation. Lois does a great program for us and focuses on the 4 that relate to Illinois. Reagan, of course, more than rest, and then Obama and Lincoln and Grant, all were Illinois residents, so he usually spends a little extra time on them. So it's our November program.
Okay, and I just put in there the Girl Scout cookie program just for transparency so that you know that I approved that. Now I need a motion to go into closed session for personnel litigation for sale of property, and it is for personnel and litigation.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Alderperson Mass,
Yes.
Boonstra,
Yes.
Baker, Brondike, King,
Yes.